sweet and sour pork. I love it when I go to Chinese restaurants, but I'm going to show you a different version. I'm going to use tofu. The tofu works really well with this, particularly with the sticky sauce that I'm going to serve it with. Now, I've been preheating my wok. This one's fantastic because it's 28 centimetres wide and it's also got a thermo signal, and I love that because it tells you when it's at the optimum temperature for frying. So now that it's solid, it's ready to go. So for the tofu, this is firm tofu. I like to use firm tofu for this recipe because I want it to hold its shape as it fries, not only in the oil, but when we toss it in the sticky sauce later on. So we're going to cut it into large chunks so we've got perfect cubes. Now I'm using rice flour because it's going to give our tofu a nice crispy coating. And I should mention that I have drained all the excess water from the tofu and pressed it dry for about 15 minutes in some paper towel. So just with one square at a time, we're going to carefully lower it in to this hot oil. So this wok is not only going to act as a deep fryer, but we're also going to stir fry in it later. So in it goes, and we want it to become quite crisp and golden. And it's a good idea to do this in batches because you don't want to overfill this wok. Tofu's lovely and crisp, so we're taking it out of the oil. And I want to get rid of this excess oil, so just really carefully, we'll just pop that in a separate bowl. And we want to keep about a tablespoon of this oil to fry the rest of our ingredients. So still on a nice hot heat, I'll add some capsicum. This is quite a large capsicum, so I'll probably only use about 3/4 of it. And this is all about making the ingredients the same size, so it's chunky and vibrant. So don't make this too small. Nice big chunks of our capsicum. Red is the traditional way of doing this. See how hot that is? That's how we like it. And the onion, I've quartered it and just separate it just like this. In it goes. Okay. And you can see that we're getting lovely char marks on the capsicum. That's what I'm after. Some ginger, I've julienned the ginger. Sprinkle that in. And while that's getting some colour, let's get onto the sauce. So in a small bowl, I'll add some sugar and tomato sauce, very traditional for this, about a tablespoon. Some Shaoxing Chinese cooking wine. And just start to whisk that to dissolve our sugar. And to balance all these flavours, we need some acid. So I'm using some white vinegar. Great. Now in another bowl over here, I have some corn flour, and this is going to thicken up our sauce and also give it a really glossy look. So a hint of water in there, about a tablespoon, and with our whisk, we'll whisk that in. Now don't add this corn flour slurry to our sauce. We want to add this at the end to thicken up. Now we're going to add our pineapple. So some fresh pineapple, you could use some canned pineapple too. And again, the same size as our tofu pieces. And we'll give that a toss. The last ingredient I need to add to the sauce is some soy sauce. I'm adding some light soy sauce for this. Plenty. And another whisk. All right, it's time to add our tofu. And I love how this has got some charred marks on it. It just shows that this pan, this wok, is a really good conductor of heat. And once you've popped that in, give it a toss so everything's combined nicely. All right, in with our sauce. Let that bubble away for a moment. And as it reduces, it's time to add our corn flour and water mixture to thicken up the sauce and make this glossy. So you've seen what I've done here. It's pretty much exactly the same concept as our pork recipe, but instead of pork, the tofu. And because there are so many interesting layers of flavour in the sauce, from the acid, the sweetness, the saltiness of the soy, it just works a treat. And then in there you've got the pineapple, so that pop of sweetness. It all comes together, and I promise you, you won't be missing the pork in this. It tastes that good. Serve this with a little rice. Apart from that, it is good to go. It's nice sometimes to give yourself a break from meat. Tofu, done in the sweet and sour way, is a fantastic alternative.